Oh, hey guys! I guess it's been a couple weeks since my last video, and I gotta tell you, my breeding season is not going well. In fact, I'm gonna have so many less eggs than I thought that one of my incubators is now an easy bake oven. These smell delicious. Okay, so welcome to video number 4, everybody. Is that right, honey? Is that number 4?
Yeah, number 4.
And honey, are you having so much fun learning about snakes?
Do I have a choice?
No you don't. Remember, for better or for worse. That's what you said. Anyway, guys, welcome to video number 4. And before we get started, we took the YouTube plunge just over a month ago, and we hit 500 subscribers last week, and that's awesome. So thank you so much. I sincerely didn't think we were going to hit it that soon, so thank you for that. Thanks for your continued support. I love the feedback. I love all the emails. It's what makes me tick and gives me energy to make more videos, so please keep it coming, and we look forward to many more videos with you in the near future. Okay, guys, so we have a lot to get to in today's video. It's filled with facts today. We have 3 segments. The first is going to be our breeder spotlight. We're going to get into a friend of mine just had a clutch of Maruki locality green tree pythons. Another friend just had a litter of Pearl Island boas, which are very difficult to come by. I've only been coming into the United States for the last few years. We're going to feature a new segment about a viewer's comment or a viewer's question. Somebody had asked me, what is more difficult to keep, a green tree python or an emerald tree boa? So I'm going to give you the 3 main differences between keeping a green tree python and an emerald tree boa. And then finally, we're going to get into breeder issues. I touched on that in the beginning of the video. We're going to talk about 3 common issues that happen when you breed snakes. All 3 of them have happened to me this year. One of them is a female reabsorbed her follicles. Another one is a female became egg bound. And another one is that one of my females has not had her pre-lay shed. So it happened to me, it can happen to you, and I'm going to tell you what you can do if these things occur. So let's just jump into today's video, and thanks for staying with me. Okay guys, so welcome to the breeder spotlight segment of the video. This is where we feature either animals that are difficult to come by or animals that are difficult to breed. And we have 2 featured breeders today. The first is my friend Jason Zale. Jason has recently produced a litter of Pearl Island boas. Pearl Island boas have only been coming into the United States since 2005. They're very rare, difficult to come by. They're from a small chain of islands off the coast of Panama called the Pearl Islands. They are a naturally hypomelanistic occurring morph of boa. They only hit about 5 feet. The average litter has about 3 to 8 babies in it, and Jason just hit a litter of 7 babies. I'm going to put some pictures up, of course. I'm also going to put Jason's contact information. I don't know if he wants to sell any of them or not, but again, I'll put Jason's contact information up. So congratulations to Jason on producing a beautiful litter of Pearl Island boas. And our second breeder we're going to feature today is my friend David Hastings. And David recently produced a clutch of Maruki locality chondros from some adults he acquired back in 2016. For those who are not familiar with Maruki chondros, I'll put a picture up with their beautifully white striped animals. So Maruki is a city that's located on the coast of PNG. It's directly across from the Cape York Peninsula in Australia. Fun fact, 10,000 years ago, both those countries were joined together by a land bridge, and that's why that animal is now indigenous to both of those countries. So David produced 5 baby Marukis this year. So I know I'm always preaching to you guys about we have to start producing more locality chondros because they're not going to be imported anymore, and we got to start producing more animals that are difficult to obtain or, getting more rare in captivity. And I'm sorry to keep preaching, but now what you sinners need to understand is that the animals which are readily available today will no longer be available in the near future. I swear on my Bible that animals such as Boland's pythons and scrub pythons and locality chondros will no longer be imported into the country in the very near future. They will all but disappear, and we need to breed them in private collections. Jesus loves all animals, and he wants you to keep breeding your ball python morphs and your bearded dragons, except carpandros. Jesus hates carpandros. But we need to breed these animals to make sure they are with us for many years to come. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a new segment to my videos now. This is called Viewer Question. And a question I get quite a bit is, what is the difference between keeping a northern emerald tree boa or an emerald tree boa versus a green tree python? So I thought we'd get into that today. First off, this is a northern emerald tree boa. That is an 18-month animal. That is a female. That is a beautiful animal. And over here we have an 18-month-old Manokwari chondro. And that was a red baby. Hey, listen, as far as temperament and where to buy these animals from, and as far as what type of cage, I encourage you to watch my very first video, top 3 things to know before buying your first baby arboreal. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out. Why don't we talk about what they first have in common, okay? The first thing they have in common is that both are very low maintenance animals, both are very easy to keep, okay? The second thing that they have in common is you want to keep them on nice thin perches. These animals would do so much better on nice thin perches. Again, if you check out my very first video, I'll tell you exactly why it's important to keep them on a nice thin perch. Third thing you have to keep in common, they have in common is that they can be easily overfed and they can become constipated very easily. So you always have to watch your food intake or they're going to be constipated and they're going to get fat really quick. Okay guys, so here's the main 3 differences between keeping a northern emerald tree boa and a green tree python. We're going to talk about northern emeralds in this video. We're not going to get into basins at all. I've sold many of you guys both northerns and green tree pythons, and I've always given you all the same advice. The first is temperature. Green tree pythons, 83 to 84 degrees. Northern emerald tree boas, 81 to 82 degrees, okay? How often do we feed both? I feed my green tree pythons, my babies, every 7 days. This size I'll feed every 7 to 10 days once they hit that 18-month mark, so 7 to 10 days. My northern emeralds, whether they're babies, whether they're yearlings, whether they're adults, it doesn't matter. I'm not feeding them more often than every 14 days, okay? So we got the difference in temperature, got the difference in feeding frequency, okay? And last, and most importantly, you always measure the amount of time between defecations with the northern emerald tree boa. That is really important. For example, I never feed my northern emeralds more than 3 meals without seeing a defecation. I don't do the same, I do the same pretty much with my chondros, but chondros tend to defecate more regularly. They're less prone to being constipated than emeralds are. It does happen with them. So again, there's the 3 differences between keeping both animals. Different temperatures, difference in frequency of feeding, and just measuring the amount of time between defecations on a northern emerald tree boa. Those are really key 3 important things. Other than that, guys, they're really both very similar to keep. All right, well, I wish I had better news for you guys, but I have been getting my butt kicked this breeding season. But you know, let me tell you something. There are 2 types of snake breeders out there. There are snake breeders who have problems and tell you about them, and there are snake breeders who have problems and do not tell you about them. But as I stated very clearly in my 2020 breeding journey video, which is my 2nd video, you guys are in this with me, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to share all my experiences with you. Let's start off on a positive note, okay? So last week I did have 6 baby Conicus sandboas born. Hey guys, I'd come down earlier today and I noticed one of my Conicus sandboas was giving birth, so I thought I would just shoot some quick video. So here's mom. This particular female gave me a litter of 8 babies 2 years ago. Today was day 60 post-ovulation shed for her. Last time it was day 57, so it was 3 days longer. Mom looks great. That's the most important thing. She looks nice and healthy. She looks empty to me, and she looks much prettier actually too. She'll look after her next shed. She looks pretty dull right now. And so last time, as I mentioned, she gave me 8 babies, and this time she gave me 6 very healthy, fat little babies. I'll try to zoom in on them as close as I can. They have their still some yolk sacs that did not get fully absorbed yet. You can really see it on that one. But the thing about Conicus babies is that they will shed within 24 hours and they will look very different, I promise you that. You'll see the oranges coming out of them. And really pretty healthy little babies. I was hoping for at least 8, same as she did last time, but you know, I got 6 healthy babies. Mom's healthy. I'll give her next year off and I'll try her again in 2 years, but really happy with these. And again, I'll take some pictures of these babies after they shed so you guys can see what they look like. These are the rough scale sandboas. You can see the other one hiding under here. So last year this female gave me, or 2 years ago, the same female, same pair gave me 8 babies. This year she gave me 6 babies, and unfortunately less than 24 hours later 2 of the babies had died. I'm not really sure why, but I have 4 babies from her. They're gorgeous. They've all shed. I'm going to try feeding them in a couple days, so that's how we're going to start off on a positive note. Now let's get into 3 common breeding issues, and let's talk about what causes them, and let's talk about what you can do about them in the case they happen to you. Okay guys, so this is the first issue I'm having right now. This is I call a Marfak chondro, and the issue is she has not yet had her pre-lay shed. She clearly ovulated back on May 12th. She should have shed had her post-ovulation shed within 30 days of that time period. She did not. So why did she not have her post-ovulation shed? Well, clearly because she did not read the complete chondro, where it clearly states on page 198 she's supposed to have her post-ovulation shed. That's the first reason she didn't have it, but unfortunately these snakes don't always do things by the book. So since we really don't know why an animal would not have a post-ovulation shed, what do we do about it? Well, there's nothing we can do. We could just wait it out. We know that from the time a chondro ovulates, it's typically 38 to 45 days until they would lay their eggs. So what I'm going to do, and if I were you, I'm just going to set her up to lay her eggs. And that's what I'm going to do. I mean, it's only the second time since I've been keeping animals I did not have a post-ovulation shed. Does it mean perhaps she's having an issue with the egg? I mean, she looks more distended now than typical the way she's laying, but does it mean the eggs are going to be good? Does it mean she's going to have a smaller clutch of eggs? What does it mean? I have no idea, guys. Again, I'm in this with you. I don't know what caused it, but she's set up for eggs, and hopefully by the time the next video comes around, I'm going to be able to show you a clutch of eggs from her. I will keep you posted on this girl without her post-ovulation shed. Okay guys, my second breeding issue that I had so far this year, and it's a real bummer, very heartbreaking for me, is my female Savu python. I only had one that was gravid. She reabsorbed her follicles, okay? Let me just take her out and show you. As you can see, she looks great. She's healthy as a horse. She's back on feed, but she reabsorbed her follicles. So let's talk about why would a snake reabsorb her follicles? Well, according to an article written in a 1998 herpetological journal, it basically says that maybe she was in poor health, or perhaps the follicles were not viable. In the case of my female, I know she's in perfect health. Maybe the follicles were not viable. Maybe that was the case. So maybe you're saying to yourself, well, Gary, are you 100% sure this female was gravid? Did she have follicles? The answer is yes. I palpated her. I clearly felt 5 follicles. Notice I keep saying follicles and not eggs, because after a female ovulates and those follicles become shelled, it's not, a female can no longer, she's not capable of reabsorbing an egg. They can only reabsorb a follicle. And something you'll find interesting is that it's actually far easier to palpate a follicle over an egg. You would think it'd be the opposite, but follicles are smaller, they're more dense, and like I said, smaller in size, so you can actually feel them easier. They have less give to them, where an egg is bigger, it's rounder, and it has more give to it. It's actually more difficult to palpate an egg over a follicle. So, okay, good news here when this happens to you guys. If it happens to you, female's fine, she's healthy, she'll go on to reproduce. Bad news is, there's nothing we can do to prevent it, and that's it. So, very frustrating, and let's get on to my third and probably most severe breeding problem of the season. Okay guys, so not all the news is bad. Some of it is, very bad. I had a female diamond python that became egg bound, and when your females become egg bound, that is a pretty severe issue. That's the last thing you ever want to see when you're breeding pythons. It's very clear, by the way, when a female is egg bound. It just looks like a bag of marbles just completely just bound up, and that's what you're going to see when you see a female that's egg bound, okay? My diamond python, I showed her in my 2020 breeding journey. At that time, I was feeling pretty good about her. We got all the eggs out of her, and unfortunately last week I wound up losing her. She just never recovered. She never ate for me. She was a bit lethargic, and as I mentioned, she died last week, so that really bummed me out. Why do females become egg bound? Let's talk about that. There are several reasons. The oviduct, which is the tube, that very thin membrane tube that the eggs travel down, it is very fragile. It can tear easily. Sometimes an oviduct will tear as eggs are coming down it. Sometimes an egg will simply just get twisted in the oviduct when it's coming down. That will cause an impaction. Sometimes some eggs are very large, they're oversized. Sometimes they'll get stuck in the oviduct. In the case of my female, she had normal sized viable eggs coming down the oviduct, along with some slugs, which are about 1/3 the size of a normal egg. Some of those slugs twisted, they adhere to another egg, and that caused the blockage in my female. So those are some common ways that females will become egg bound. Another not so common way, but I know of at least 3 circumstances where this happened, and this is really worth saying. When a female python is laying her eggs, I know we always want to take pictures and we want to show it off. It's really cool. We want to video it, and I understand all that. If you want to videotape your female python laying eggs, you should have maybe a little camera inside the cage to do that, but you shouldn't be there being intrusive. The reason being is that, yes, pythons do go into a trance when they're laying eggs. They tend to block things out that are going on around them. However, I've seen it on several occasions where females get distracted. People are in there removing hide boxes, or removing covers to an egg box, and they're recording or taking pictures of the female while laying eggs, and they'll stop laying eggs. Females at that time are extremely vulnerable, to predators. They're laying eggs. It's the two most important times, right? When they're either laying eggs or eating a meal is when snakes are most vulnerable to predators, right? And they may see you as a predator, and I'm telling you, I've seen them stop laying eggs at that moment and become egg bound, okay? So most of the time you cannot prevent the female from becoming egg bound, but in that case you can. So now that we've talked about why female pythons become egg bound, let's talk about what we can do when this occurs. Okay, so you've confirmed your female is egg bound. Some females will not lay any eggs and just be egg bound. In the case, I've had 3 egg bound females over the last, say, 10 years. In every case, they laid a few eggs and then stopped midway through laying and became egg bound. So I think the first thing we're going to try to do is you can just wait it out for a little bit. Some people will try soaking the female. I mean, I'm not talking about, when you see an egg come out, just don't jump and start doing anything. I'm talking about give it, 4, 5, 6 hours. I mean, theoretically, you should see an egg being coming out at least every 15, 20 minutes or so. But once now you're starting to look at the female, you see her, she's completely bound up. Hours have passed, she's still in the same position, no eggs have come out. You can pretty much confirm she's egg bound, okay? So let's leave her alone for minimally 12 to 24 hours, and let's just keep our fingers crossed that maybe she's going to pass that blocked egg and the other eggs will come out after that. You can also try soaking her in warm, shallow water for several hours and see if that helps. Unfortunately, I've tried both those things in the past. I see YouTube videos where people try that. I mean, maybe, I wish I had better news, guys, but maybe 10% of the time that would be effective. In most cases, it's going to take some manual manipulation. So after you tried soaking her, you tried waiting it out, what we're going to try next is, and I actually learned this from watching a video by Brian Barczyk and Kevin McCurley from Nerd. They did videos on YouTube with females that were egg bound. And they'll take a blunt-ended probe like this, they'll stick it in the animal's cloaca, and they'll try to move it around by the egg, okay? And they'll try to just, that egg that's blocked, and move around the, just the circumference of the egg, trying to loosen it up and make it come out. And I've seen them actually be pretty effective doing that. You could try doing that. You could try palpating the eggs really slowly with your hands and getting the eggs out that way. The thing I want to stress to you guys is regardless of what option you tried to remove those eggs, whether it's palpating or taking the probe and putting it in the cloaca, it has to be done slowly. In the case of my female, yeah, I was able to palpate every egg out of her, about a dozen eggs, but we did it over the course of 3 days. Because if you force it, you are going to tear that oviduct. And once you tear that oviduct, she's probably going to bleed internally, she's going to get an infection, and maybe that's what happened with my girl. Maybe she died of infection, I don't know. She seemed good, but I don't know. So again, whatever you try, you have to make sure you're extremely careful. Okay, so we soaked our female, we tried waiting it out, that it didn't work. We tried taking a probe and putting it in the female's cloaca and getting the eggs out that way. We tried palpating the eggs out. That was not effective. So there's really only one option left at this point, guys. You have to bring your animal to a vet. And most likely the vet is going to have to surgically remove the eggs. At this point, once your female becomes egg bound, you pretty much have to get into your head that you are not going to get any viable eggs from that girl. After a few hours and those eggs sit in the oviduct, they basically suffocate. So the embryos, the babies inside the eggs, they're going to perish. So at this point, all we're really trying to do is save the female. So as I said, worst case scenario now, it's not working, we bring it to the vet surgically removes the eggs. It's very difficult for a vet, almost impossible. I guess it's been done, I'm not sure, but to be able to remove those eggs without tearing the oviduct is it's very challenging. So best case scenario, if we get those eggs surgically removed, because the eggs are already, they're gone, right? They're perished, they suffocated inside the oviduct. And if we're able to salvage the female now, that's the best case scenario, but most likely we're going to salvage a female that's not able to breed ever again in the future, because we've already now, to remove the eggs, the vet had to, unfortunately, make an incision in her oviduct, okay, and it's just not going to heal. She's not going to be able to breed again. So best case scenario with a female that's egg bound is you're going to be able to save that female to be able to breed again, and that's really the goal here. I'm going to mention something again that's pretty important. Your vet is probably going to recommend to you giving your animal a shot of, the drug is actually called oxytocin. The brand name is called Pitocin. And what these drugs do, or what this drug is, it's actually one drug. Again, Pitocin is the brand name. It's a drug that causes contractions for mammals, okay? So out of desperation, vets, and I've had my vets try it, and my vets are really knowledgeable guys. At this point, we're just desperate, we're trying anything, right? So we're gonna try to give the animal a shot of Pitocin, which is gonna cause contractions. Unfortunately, guys, it's just not, I don't know about lizards, or I don't know about turtles or tortoises, other reptiles. I will tell you in my cases with pythons, Pitocin or oxytocin, it's not effective. It doesn't cause contractions. And in my situation, both my females that were given injections of Pitocin were dead in less than 24 hours. So I'm just throwing some of this stuff at you. I know you're going to forget about it until the time comes. I hope the time never comes for you guys. But again, just trying to give you some insight. So if you ever have to run into this issue, at least you'll have some options you could try, and you could try saving your female. Okay guys, well I hope your breeding season is going better than mine. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I still think I'm pretty confident I have 1, maybe 2 Amazon Basin Emeralds gravid. I'm still waiting on 2 chondros to drop. I still have a Conicus sand boa, so we'll see where that goes. Hey, really important, I wanted to mention JT Tomlinson. I'm not sure who knows JT or not. JT owns Reptichip. He's a big contributor to US ARC. And on June 12th, unfortunately, JT lives over in Austin, Texas. He had a bad fire at his house. He lost his home. Him and his family lost their home, and they lost a lot of their animals. So there's been a lot of fundraising going on for JT recently. So I'm going to put his email address on the bottom of the screen right now. Also put it in the description of the video, where you can go and make a contribution through PayPal. It doesn't have to be a lot. I know we're all dealing with rough times right now with the plague going on, but anything you could do would be greatly appreciated. JT is one of our own. He's a great guy. I know he would help any of us if he could. So anything you guys can contribute would be wonderful. I want to talk about 2 podcasts I'm really proud of. I was on the Unfiltered Radio podcast with my friend MJ and my friend Desiree and my friend Stephen Cush about a week ago, and we had some great conversations on there talking about shows, you know, from 30 years ago, attending my first show, to a great way to treat a respiratory infection in your snakes when you have one that does not require a vet visit or any medication. And I talk about importing some bowline pythons 20 years ago and why I will never try that again. So Unfiltered Reptiles podcast, I'll put a link on the bottom of my screen. And also I did a podcast, Corrales Radio, with my friend Jeff Godbold. If you're just getting into chondros recently in the last 6 years and you're wondering why you cannot find chondros anywhere, whether they're imported locality type babies or you can't find captive bred animals, I really have a great conversation with Jeff. I explained the 3 key reasons why it's so difficult to find chondros now. We also get into a Savu python conversation as well. US ARC, I'm always going to stress US ARC with you guys. They do so much for us and ask so little from us. So again, I'll put a link in my video and in my descriptions to as little as $5 a month for a membership, guys. I'm telling you, you have no idea what they do for us. I mean, they fight hard, so we're able to keep these beautiful animals in our home. Okay, so let's do that. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. Don't forget to subscribe to my videos. I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks from now. If anybody has any breedings, pairings, anything they're really proud of, they wanted to send it in the Breeder Spotlight. If you have a product you want to send in for a product spotlight or a great question, don't forget to send it in, and I will see you guys all in a couple weeks. Take care. Who has the best YouTube channel? Me